Good evening, everybody. It is this Safety and a Sportswriter show with Knoxville, Nate, and Big Joe as we get ready to talk to you about the world of sports. A lot of stuff to go over. We have the NFL trades, what went on at the trade deadline. We have Week 8 action. We get the preview of Week 9. We have our picks. But I want to start out this broadcast doing a little basketball because the Nets said goodbye, not surprisingly, to Steve Nash. Someone had to fall on their sword for the disappointment that this, I don't know if you want to call it an experiment or what, that's been going on in Brooklyn for the last 3 years. Besides that, you got Kyrie Irving causing controversy with stupid anti-Semitic stuff, and it's just a mess. And when you think about this, and you're more of a pro basketball fan than I am, Nate, but I mean, when you think about the year before, they went out and got Kyrie and Kevin, and you had a team that you could easily root for, a team of overachievers, a team of young guys that maybe didn't have the potential to win championships, but at least they gave you a reason to come in and watch them every night. And then they get rid of the coach. They trade off all those guys for Kyrie and, make it Club Kyrie Kevin. I think that's what it should be called rather than a basketball team. It's a clubhouse. And now they're trying to get the coach from the Celtics. I don't know if they made that deal yet, but it's just a mess. What do you think?
Well, if you go back to when the bubble, remember the Nets came in and they barely made it. I think they were the last team,
right?
And they went undefeated. And Jacques Vaughn was the coach. They had a bunch of, not tier one players, but they had some decent ballers, and they played together, and they went undefeated, I believe, and looked like something that was really about to happen in Brooklyn. Well, then after the season, KD comes back. He doesn't want Jacques Vaughn to be the coach. He handpicks Steve Nash because he was the a consultant for the Warriors when he was out there. And, then they put their little James Harden, Kyrie Irving thing together. Nobody listens to Steve Nash. Everybody does what they want. They all get injured. They don't get vaccinated. They do all this. And yet now when they're struggling again, they fire Steve Nash. And I'm just like, how the hell is all this Steve Nash's fault? First off, I don't think if we all think back, just last season, it wasn't Steve Nash's idea to trade James Harden for Ben Simmons, who didn't even play last year and sucks this year. And my other question is, if they thought that Steve Nash was the problem, why didn't they fire him in the offseason?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they firing him right now? I mean, they're 2-6. They've played 8 games. And actually, when they fired him, I think they were 1-5, maybe 1-6. So they had played like 5 or 6 games. Why are they firing him right now? I mean, if they were going to fire him, why didn't they fire him in the offseason and start with a fresh coach from the beginning of the season? I mean, none of this makes any sense. As we always say, the successful sports franchises start at the top, and this team is just a disaster from the top down to the bottom.
And the thing is, it was a joke listening to Mills' press conference to GM talking about accountability. There is no accountability with the Nets.
No,
Kyrie Irving sat out half the season last year, got paid his full boat because of a vaccination problem. And the thing is that we know that this is a star-driven league, but there are very few stars that can handle being the lead player. Michael Jordan could handle it. LeBron could handle it. Kevin can't handle that. KD is not the kind of guy who's going to get in Kyrie's face and say, hey, look, straighten up. You're taking the whole team down. He's not going to hold it. In the NBA, you got to have your superstar player hold the rest of the team accountable. Well, that's what they respect.
And he doesn't make anybody better.
No.
I mean, the whole problem with Ben Simmons in Philadelphia was he couldn't shoot the basketball.
Right.
And he couldn't make a shot to save his life. And here we are. and the starting finally playing for Brooklyn, and they're eight games deep, and Ben Simmons is averaging 6 points a game.
Right.
So nothing's changed. No one's been held accountable. The same problems that have gone on with all these guys have continued to go on. And it's kind of like, Kevin Durant doesn't take any of the blame on himself. He's like, well, I'm dropping 30 a night.
Right.
Who cares? This isn't my fault. I'm scoring 30 points. Well, scoring 30 points isn't always the only thing. If you score 30 points, but your team scores 60 and the other team scores 100, it doesn't matter, Kevin. But he doesn't understand that.
He didn't understand that he was in the perfect situation out in Golden State. An owner who doesn't mind paying the luxury tax. Steph Curry, those guys could take the equal amount of attention from him. All he had to do in that case was show up and throw down 30 a night.
Yeah, that's all he had to do there. That's all he had to do there because it wasn't his team.
Right.
He was just a piece.
Right.
And that's was perfect for him because we saw in Oklahoma City that him being the centerpiece and him being the leader didn't work, and so he goes to Golden State and he scores his points and they continue to win. They already won without him,
right?
But they continued to win, and then he's not happy because he doesn't get all the credit. Well, he didn't deserve all the credit, as we've seen when he's been the main player and the centerpiece. He can't get it done.
And then you have the Knicks, who are the only thing the Knicks can say for themselves right now is thank God they don't have the Kevin and Kyrie headache, but they're a mess too. So basketball in this area is just effed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I don't understand the whole thing with Kyrie Irving again. Like he comes out in support of this movie, that was made several years ago. I think it was made in like 2018 or maybe even before that. But I don't understand why he does the things that he does. And then instead of just apologizing and trying to move on, he comes out and says, "Oh, I didn't make the film."
Or even, on the flip side of that coin, if he really believed it was his right, because it is free speech, he can say what he wants. I mean, even if he's totally wrong, he could defend it, but he doesn't even defend it. That's what gets you. It's like he puts it out there, and then he just backs off from it and says, "Well, I didn't know about it. Somebody just said something, so I put it up there." You're a public figure. You can't do things like that. People research people. You're a shaper of people's agendas, and they're going to look into it and see what it's about. And I mean, the worst thing about Kyrie is for a 30-year-old man, he is one of the most immature people you can come across.
Yeah, I really don't get it with this guy, and I don't get how he does all this stuff. He skips half the season and still gets paid $18 million, and then he does this and nothing happens to him. But Steve Nash gets fired. I'm just
and he spent the summer saying how he wanted to get out of Brooklyn, and then decided when nobody wanted him or he wouldn't get any more money to go anywhere else, he upped his contract. He signed on the dotted line because he wasn't getting any more money going anywhere else.
Nobody wanted him.
No.
Who wants a guy that doesn't show up half the time, even when he is healthy, and the other half of the time he's not healthy? Why in the hell would you want that guy? It makes no sense.
And LeBron even shrugged his shoulders and got out of Cleveland, left his home for him. So I mean, I don't see what else. Who knows? It's a long season in the NBA. Things can happen. I mean, they are two talented players that maybe maybe around Christmas they'll get the three ghosts to visit them and straighten them out. I don't know. But
yeah, I doubt that.
Yeah, but right now,
I see this Brooklyn team getting broken up. I mean, I think eventually, KD is just going to demand a trade. He's just one of these guys is just going to quit playing,
right,
and sit out until they get traded. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think it's KD first. I think KD.
Who knows?
Thinner skin.
who knows? One of these guys is going to get pissed and is going to say, this isn't my fault that we're losing. I'm not playing here anymore. And they're
then
just going to
you
sit
go
out.
back to the guy you said about Ben Simmons. I mean, at some point too. I mean, I'm not a Ben Simmons fan. I think it's inexcusable for a guy with all that talent to not have a jump shot. I mean, he had all the basic skills you want, except he can't shoot. And shooting is a skill that can be learned. You don't have. It's not. I mean, I can shoot a basketball. You can shoot a basketball. You know what I mean? It maybe not on the level of these pros, but you can learn how to shoot a basketball when you got his kind of coordination and skill. And right now, he seems like he has no confidence. He's broken, and he's afraid to even try.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. He's not even taking many shots
No,
at this point. Like I said, he's averaging 6 points a game. I mean, he's dishing out assists. He's getting rebounds, but he hasn't gotten better at shooting the basketball, which astounds me. He's had 2 years, 3 years to work on his shot. Not to mention, the time before when he was in the league. So I don't understand it. It's another one of those situations where the guy is more interested in dating one of the Kardashians than he is getting better at basketball.
well, he's right now the NBA is just getting off. Not a lot to talk about really right now, but
Well, we did have a big game last night.
which one was that? I was doing my trivia night.
We had the Pelicans took
Oh,
on
Lakers
the Lakers.
came back. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a Zion LeBron matchup, and it turned out to really be the same thing that's occurred with the Lakers. When Anthony Davis shows up and looks like he wants to play, the Lakers can win games. And I know they got a big shot from Matt Ryan to send it into overtime, and he put in 11 points off the bench, which helped a lot. And Troy Brown Jr. had 15 points, and actually Lonnie Walker, the fourth, had 28 points, which these are all reasons why the Lakers actually won. But Anthony Davis had 20, 16, and 4 assists and 4 blocks. So he really looked like, he wanted to win despite shooting 8 for 17. He stepped up big time and played some defense. Like I said, blocked 4 shots, had a steal, caused a couple turnovers, deflections. He looked like he wanted to play, but this Pelicans team is a good team, and for the Lakers to get this win, I think is big for them because of their schedule. They easily could have started 1-11, and now they're 2-5, 2-2 at home. The Pelicans fall to 4-3, but they got Zion back, and when Zion plays, he's legit, man. I mean, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. He's big time money. When he plays, and if they can just keep him healthy, the Pelicans have got a chance to go a long way because they've got McCollum now, they've got Marshall, they've got when Ingram's going to come back eventually from his injury, and when they get all those pieces together, I think the Pelicans might be a pretty formidable team.
Well, I think there's definitely a power shakeup going on in the NBA, and you're going to see like Memphis is already on the radar. There's a lot of teams. There's a lot of juggling around. I mean, you got to figure that the Golden State core is going to start. You're going to have to start looking at that. They've been together 10 years now.
Yeah, and they're struggling a little bit. They're right there with the Lakers. Everybody's made a huge deal about the Lakers 2-5 start, but the Warriors are 3-5, and they've lost 3 in a row, and nobody's really talking about that. So I don't know how you can talk about one and not the other.
Well, I think the thing is that the Golden State just won. So, I mean, you do get a state of grace a little bit for just winning a championship, whereas the Lakers, not because of LeBron, mostly because of AD, have been underachieving the last couple of years. So, I mean, they look at it and people are going to start picking at it. I mean,
last year they struggled big time, but the year before they won. So,
true.
They've had some success too. They just need. I just don't know about the pieces they have around LeBron and Anthony Davis. These are not the guys that I would have picked. But it looked pretty good last night. Maybe they can build on that. Maybe they can make a trade down the stretch. I mean, I don't know. I'm not ready. People were ready for LeBron to give up and jump to another team a week ago, and I'm like, can we play 15 games before we start trading LeBron? I don't get that.
I don't know where would LeBron want to go except maybe back home to Cleveland and be the final piece there, so he can win our championship at home. I mean, I maybe Miami. I mean, maybe one of those two places, but I don't see him really wanting to get out of LA because that's where his life is now. That's where
Yeah,
he's settled. That's where his
no,
business is. He's got all these this broadcasting stuff going on. I think he's
he's
settled
got
in
his
where.
he's got his production company,
Yeah, I think
which is
he's
putting things out and
and I think
creating
he's
movies.
found his final home there. I don't think if anything, I think if maybe he comes to a realization in the next couple of years that's the final year, maybe he goes home to Cleveland just to end his career where it started. But other than that, I don't see him jumping around at any place, in pursuit of anything. Plus, I think he'd love to get the record in the Laker uniform.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't know if you heard this, but came out at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. James Harden is hurt again, and
No,
he's going to be out at least a month, maybe a month and a half.
no, say it ain't
He's
so.
Yeah, he suffered a foot injury. I mean, this is another guy that when he plays, he's pretty good, but uh, he can't seem to stay healthy anymore, and I think it's because he's a little heavy.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's finding the right combinations and everything. That's the thing that makes everything work in the NBA. I mean, you don't have to. It's not as hard as the NFL, but you do have to find the right combinations to make it happen. And that's a good segue into our second section, which is the breakdown of the NFL trade deadline, I should say, which actually got started a week ago or a couple weeks ago when Christian McCaffrey was traded by Carolina, and this past Sunday worked out real well for 49ers for him. But some big trades on the deadline. Let's take a look at them and see what you think. See if I can pull up my list here. I mean, the first thing that jumps out at you, I was Buffalo. I thought that was a good move for them picking up Hines. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they got rid of Zach Moss, who's been a huge disappointment to them, and then they added a guy that can run the football and also catch the football out of the backfield. They're going to use Devin Singletary as their main guy going forward, but they needed somebody else that can help them on third down, blitz pickups, catch the ball out of the backfield, do some of the things that Singletary can't do. And I think it's a good pick. I mean, at least they added somebody. They've got James Cook, they've got Hines, and they've got Singletary. I think with the three of those guys, they've got more of a complete package than they did before, and they really didn't have to give up much to get him. So
Right.
I think that's a win for the Bills.
Another one that jumps out at me right away is Calvin Ridley going to the Jags.
Yeah, basically they got his rights, which I think is a great move for the Jaguars. He's suspended indefinitely right
Yeah,
now, so I think the whole trade is hinges upon him being reinstated. But the general consensus is that he will be reinstated. And let's be honest, if they can get Calvin Ridley back into the fold, if he can be reinstated, if he's got his mind right, because remember, that's the thing that really started to happen. Calvin just started to kind of lose
drift.
himself. Yeah, and he wasn't showing up to practice. They told him to take a mental health vacation, so to speak, and then he goes out to Vegas and starts betting on the team that he's on. So not good. But if he
That'll
can
show you.
get maybe if he can get himself right, this would be huge for the Jaguars. I mean, this guy would be the number one receiver that they have not had since Jimmy Smith and Keaton McCardell were there, which I'm dating myself because I even know who those guys are. It's been a long time. So I actually like this move for the Jaguars just because they said, hey, this guy's on the trade block. If we can get him, he will instantly be the best wide receiver on our team when he can play.
I also like it for Atlanta, who's kind of competing while they're in the middle of a rebuild,
Yeah.
getting a couple of draft choices. Jacksonville probably will have a high draft choice there, so that's one's conditional and one's nice. So they make out with this too.
Well, and he wasn't going to be part of their future.
Right.
So they've moved on from him, which they should. And so get something back for him now while you can.
And I think the Dolphins picking up Jeff Wilson Jr. could be a good pickup for them. He's got history with the coach. See what he brings to the table. He just had more depth, and they didn't really have to give up anything for him.
Yeah, no, I think that was huge for them. They're, the Miami's got the 28th rushing attack in the league, so they needed help. Mostert's been okay, but he struggles to stay healthy full time. Jeff Wilson's been the one guy out in San Francisco that's been able to stay healthy and run the football. So him and his relationship with Mike McDaniel, I think, is huge, and I think he will help that offense going forward. But obviously, the big one was adding Bradley Chubb from Denver. That is huge. This will help this defense immensely. Bradley Chubb is just a put your head down kind of guy and get it done. He's never had a problem. He never causes an issue. He just goes to work every single day. And when healthy, he's one of the best edge rushers in the league. And signability, the Dolphins just agreed to an extension with him yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that, 10 years.
Yeah, so he's going to be on the team for the foreseeable future, and $63 million guaranteed. If he can continue to play like he's been playing, especially so far this year, that'll be huge for the Dolphins moving forward.
It's also a sign that Nathan Hackett better not buy property out in Denver.
Yeah, this is what we talked about on last week's show. We said, if they lose this game against Jacksonville in over in England, the Broncos are going to have a yard sale. Well, they won the game, and they still got rid of one of their best players in recent history. So I think they see the writing on the wall. This team is just not going to compete with Kansas City this year. I mean, there's just no way. So I actually was kind of shocked that more guys didn't get traded, but I think they've seen, they really like what they've seen in Baron Browning, the Ohio State guy, and also Jonathan Cooper, the other Ohio State guy. Those two dudes were kind of brought in to be middle linebackers. Both of them have been converted to edge guys. I mean, Jonathan Cooper was more of an edge guy, but maybe an outside linebacker. But both of them have been turned into edge rushers and have really been productive for the Broncos. And I think that's what made Bradley Chubb expendable.
And then we got Chase Claypool going to the Bears from the Steelers. In a way, it makes me scratch my head about the Steelers because this is a young wide receiver, very talented. I don't know if giving up on him with a young quarterback was the right thing to do, but it's going to help Justin Fields for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you just can't pay everybody. They already paid DeAndre Johnson. They love what they've seen out of George Pickens, the second round draft pick out of Georgia. They've got Pat Freiermuth. They've got a pretty decent group of wide receivers there in Pittsburgh, and so I just don't think they were going to be able to pay Claypool down the road, and so they just decided to see what they could get for him. And they got pretty decent compensation. I think they got a second round draft pick, and I think this is huge for the Bears. They signed N'Keal Harry, who was a just huge bust. I mean, I'm just going to call it what it is. He was a bust in New England. He couldn't get on the field. When he didn't get on the field, he looked lost and was just a hopeless wide receiver for them. He's been somewhat productive and at times been the best receiver on the Bears, which is sad, but true. And now they've added Chase Claypool, and really they're starting to give Fields some places to throw the football, which is huge for them. But at the same time, they got rid of Roquan Smith, who is their best player on the entire team, which I did not understand. I mean, how can you go in the locker room and tell your guys we're playing to win right now, and then the one guy that's dominating on the field, you deal him, for a fourth round pick? I don't get it. Roquan was the leader of that team. He was leading the entire NFL in tackles when he'd been moved to the Will Backer, playing that position for the first time in his life, and he's dominating. He just came off a pick six interception, and causing turnovers and getting sacks and just doing everything. And they'd already gotten rid of Quinn last week. So their two best players on defense are gone now. And I just don't know how you can look these guys in the eye and tell them that your goal is to win when you're getting rid of their best players.
Especially when right now your defense is your strength, really, more than your offense. Your offense is still trying to find themselves. So, I mean, yeah, I don't get that move either. But this one made me scratch my head. I mean, not giving up on T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, I don't know where he's going to go with the Lions, but trading him in division to Minnesota for draft choices when Minnesota's going to have higher draft choices or lower, whichever way you want to go it with the record they got, and you're giving him plus draft choices back to Minnesota. So they're getting it's not a Kelsey, it's not an Andrews, but it's a pretty good tight end plus draft choices, and all you're getting back is two draft choices that are going to be later in the round than yours would have been if you kept them. I don't get it.
I don't get it as far as the Detroit side of it goes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It doesn't make any sense, but makes a ton of sense for the Vikings. Irv Smith Jr., although talented, has been oft injured. He's got a high ankle sprain. I think he's going on IR if he's not already there, and he just can't seem to stay healthy. Like I said, even though he's got a ton of talent and seems to be a pretty good tight end, he's not the blocker that T.J. Hawkinson is. This guy can catch, block. He can do everything, and was a Pro Bowler in 2020. So I think this is huge for Minnesota, who's in first place right now in the division, and I think they just got better.
Yeah, they in a division right now where the Packers are a mess. We're talking about the Bears trying to retool on the fly, and the Lions are a mess. And they just gave up probably their most consistent offensive weapon. So, and like I said, for Minnesota's draft choices, I don't get it. I just don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's got some wide receivers that have been playing pretty well, but I'm just not sure, who's going to take over. At tight end. I mean, the only other tight end they've got is Brock Wright and James Mitchell, and Brock Wright's hurt right now. So I think this kind of leaves them with a hole in their lineup.
For sure. And with a guy like Jared Goff, who likes to, play the short game, should we say? I mean, he was the perfect tight end for him. The Giants got rid of Kadarius Toney. That experiment didn't last too long. I don't know if he'll be on the field for the Chiefs at all, if often, whatever, however you want to say it. But I like the fact that the Giants got back some draft choices for him.
Oh, this was a great move for the Giants. I mean, Kadarius Toney has been non-existent on their team, on the field. He's just been worthless and hopeless, and to get anything back for this guy is huge. And the Chiefs, they rolled the dice,
right?
But if anybody can make something out of this kid, I think it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, is he going to be Tyreek Hill? No, but can he be like McCole Hardman, like something like that? I think so. I mean, he kind of his career at Georgia. His career at Florida reminded me a lot of McCole Hardman's career at Georgia. So I think that's what Andy saw, and I think that's what the front office for Kansas City saw in Toney. They were like, if we can turn this guy into a McCole Hardman 2.0, he can help us. Once we get in the playoffs. So I don't think it'll be a ton of help right now. Because it's going to take him a while to get healthy because he's never healthy. And it's also going to take him a while to learn this offense. But maybe if he can do those things, get healthy and learn the offense, I think he can help the Chiefs quite a bit.
The other thing is, if you're a wide receiver, who do you want to play for? You want to play for Andy Reid, who's very creative, has very creative ways to find getting you the ball in different situations where you can be successful. Plus, Pat Mahomes. I mean, two good reasons to go there. I mean, upgraded quarterback and one of the most creative football minds in football history, drawing up plays for you. So it is a nice. And like I said, the Giants get some draft choices back, and we'll see where they go from there. We talked about Robert Quinn. The Cowboys moved defensive tackle. How do you feel about Hankins?
You know, he's a rotational guy. Do I think he's going to put the Cowboys over the hump? No, but I think he helps. I think he gives them something to add to their rotational guys in their defensive line, and that's how they like to do it. That's how the Coach Quinn likes to do it. He likes to have at least 8 guys that he moves in and out, and just wants them to go crazy when they're out there. So I think this gives them another piece to do that. And one thing we did forget is that Denver, in that Bradley Chubb deal, got Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
So a dude that played pretty well for Arizona last year has been a non-factor in Miami. Maybe a change of scenery helps him. But yeah, I think I kind of expected Dallas to maybe do more, to be honest. But I don't think it made him worse. I think it makes him better.
Yeah, we still have OBJ sitting out there somewhere, so waiting to sign somewhere if he's healthy. So Dallas might creep into that. Might have the Rams, might have Tampa Bay, who are facing each other this week, and both are seemingly a mess. Any other trades or the trades that caught your eye?
The only other one that we already mentioned was Quinn. Leaving Chicago. Well, we didn't really talk about where he's going, and that's going to Philadelphia. We mentioned it a little bit last week, but I think that's huge for Philly, as we'll see them tonight versus Houston. They lost my boy Derek Barnett to injury, and really needed somebody else to help with the pass rush. And I think Quinn is that guy. It's not really a trade, but we talk about the Roquan going to Baltimore. Well, they also signed JPP, which we talked about a few weeks ago. Well,
right.
I like those two pieces together. I mean, JPP is a lunch pail guy. I mean, he's going to bust his ass to do whatever he can to help this Ravens team, and he's already started to do it. And now you put in Roquan out there. You've still got Malik Harrison. You've still got Patrick Queen. Put those 3 guys together, and you've got a really nice set of linebackers. And now if you can get Calais Campbell back healthy, and JPP, get him more involved in the mix. You get Owe out there, killing it. I think this Ravens defense just might be a little bit improved. The biggest thing that I took away from all this is, why the hell didn't the Ravens sign a wide receiver? I mean, what are they doing? They traded away Marquise Brown, during the draft. They were really counting on Rashad Bateman to be their number one. He is their number one, but he can't stay healthy. He just got hurt again and re-aggravated his injury on Thursday night against the Buccaneers, and now he's out for the rest of the season. They knew he was going to be out before the trade deadline. Why would they not move and give Lamar Jackson some help? You're going to have to pay Lamar Jackson, okay? It's going to happen. I mean, I'm sorry. You've got no other option.
No.
The whole offense is built around Lamar. So why not try and make it successful? Why not try and help Lamar and give him someone to throw the damn ball to besides Mark Andrews, who is also hurt by the bye? So right. I really don't understand what they're doing. I get it that they're a little bit struggling cap wise. Release somebody. I don't give a damn. Get Lamar some freaking help. I just don't get what they're trying to do with this wide receiver core. I mean, Duvernay, I like. Robinson played okay last week. James Prochet is not a good wide receiver, in my opinion. Tylan Wallace has been a bust. I don't get it. They're about 2 receivers short of what they need. And with Rashad Bateman out for the rest of the season, I think they're in big trouble, pass catching wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the same thing we saw last year. Lamar do it all or nothing gets done. So,
bingo.
And in a division that's ripe for picking right now, I mean, when you saw what Cleveland did to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's my point. I mean, this division is ripe for the picking for the Ravens to take it.
Right.
Especially with Deshaun Watson coming back, you're going to need something just to, keep yourself a little bit above water because Cleveland's starting to look a little bit better. I don't know what the hell the Bengals are doing. They've got the worst coach in the league, in my opinion, and their offensive line, which is supposed to be much improved, looks worse. I don't know what's going on in Cincinnati. They look good one week, look horrible the next week. Who knows what they're going to do? But I just don't understand why. Then it'll get to the playoffs. They'll be like, "Oh, Lamar can't win it. Can't win the playoff games." Well, Lamar can't do anything unless you give him something to work with, and he doesn't have much. I mean, there's nowhere to throw the ball.
Yeah, it was a very weird game to watch Cincinnati on Monday. The fact that they never tried to even get Joe Mixon involved. I mean, I don't get it. It was a close game for a long period of time, and they forgot they had a running attack. So,
you're watching the Browns run the ball constantly with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and then you've got your own badass running back, and you refuse to hand it to him. And you can't pass protect. So that's the biggest thing that you do. Am I the smartest guy in the world? No, but I do know football, and the best way to help an offensive line that can't pass protect is to run the football. Get him out there mauling. I mean, get him out there pushing on guys and going forward instead of going backwards. Yeah, they're not good. These guys aren't good at going, and they're not good at anything, but they're certainly not good at going backwards. Get them going forward. Get them blocking downfield. Get them to light a little fire under their ass and get some yards on the ground, because Joe Burrow doesn't have time to throw the ball.
All right, let's go back a week and look. We have the Buccaneers, who seemingly don't want to win at all. I mean, I don't know, what to make of the Buccaneers. Todd Bowles looks lost. His defense, since he's not calling the plays on defense anymore, it doesn't look like it's the devastating defense it used to be. Byron Leftwich, it will not be a hot name unless he can help turn this offense around. And what is wrong with the Bucs?
Well, one of the biggest things was Shaq Barrett went down with an injury. He's been put on IR. When he went out of the game last week, their defense just looked different, with Tryon Shoyinka out there and Carl Nassib. Those two guys are not Shaq Barrett.
No.
And even Anthony Nelson, who's a decent player, he doesn't look – they don't look the same without Shaq Barrett out there. And he's on IR now. Logan Ryan, who was playing great for them, he's on IR. So this defense is beat up with injuries. Antoine Winfield is banged up. And so that was the big thing with their defense is they just had a lot of guys banged up and in and out of the lineup in the secondary. And then they kind of go. I mean, I think this. Most people know this. This team kind of goes as Devin White goes. Yeah. When Devin White has a good game and he's running all over the field and he's making the right reads and he's doing the right things that he's supposed to do, this defense is one of the best in the league, if not the best. But when he kind of has a brain fart and goes the wrong direction and is doing stunts when they're not called and running through the wrong gaps and reading the play wrong, their defense suffers and falls off dramatically. Levante David's getting a little long in the tooth at this point, and Devin White's really their explosive guy. And when he's not playing like he can, this defense struggles. And I don't know where this team goes from here, because if you look at this game last week against Baltimore, they got exposed big time. Gus Edwards came back for Baltimore and looked pretty good, and he gets hurt again. As I said, they brought Bateman, tried to bring Bateman back. He had one target, and then he got hurt again. So it was like all the guys that were supposed to be back and helping out Lamar. Mark Andrews came out. He played. He had 5 targets. He got hurt again. So the big 3 guys that were supposed to be back and helping Lamar all got hurt and left the game. Yet nobody told Lamar that, and he played pretty good. I mean, 27-38, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns passing. Also had 43 yards rushing. Even though he got sacked 3 times, he still got it done, and that's because of the issues that I talked about on the Buccaneers defense. And then offensively, the Buccaneers can't run the football anymore.
No.
And I don't really understand that. I don't know if they're they're unwilling to run the football. It kind of seems that way to me. They only gave Leonard Fournette 9 carries. I don't understand that. I know their offensive line isn't as good as it was last year. They've lost all their interior guys, either due to free agency or the injuries to Jensen. But you have to at least make an attempt to run the football. And 13 carries, that's not really putting a strong emphasis on the run.
And then the next game I want to jump to, because can it get any worse for the Raiders? Getting shut out by New Orleans. New Orleans, I'm not just saying that New Orleans bad or anything, but Josh McDaniel, my God.
This game was a real shocker to me. I thought that the Raiders would show up. I knew that Andy Dalton was starting. We go back, rewind a week ago. What did Andy Dalton had 3 interceptions in the first half, 2 of them pick sixes. And I was just like, man, this is going to be a field day for the Raiders. This is going to be a great game for them to get right. Josh Jacobs was coming off almost 200 yards rushing. Well, he only had 10 carries for 43 yards. Derek Carr was abysmal, 15 of 26 for 101 yards and an interception, sacked 3 times. I just can't really find anything that was good in this game for the Raiders. The Saints defense finally played like we expected them to play all year long. Alvin Kamara was lights out. He had a touchdown rushing, 62 yards rushing. He had 96 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns receiving, so 3 touchdowns on the day. Chris Olave continues to impress. I guess the best elixir for the Saints was playing the Raiders.
Yeah. Josh McDaniel right now, I don't know if he's going to make it through the season. I don't think he'll make it through the offseason unless he has a big turnaround here. A lot was expected there.
Well, yeah, and look how good that team was playing at the end of last year with the interim coach, who they said bye-bye to. No, we're going to go get us Josh McDaniels. And, we've seen this before. Josh McDaniels has been a pretty good offensive coordinator when he's on the Patriots and has been a horrible head coach. And this is exactly what it looked like in Denver. We heard all this talk about how, he's going to do it different this time. He learned from his time in Denver. Well, he learned how to repeat himself because it looks like the same damn thing.
Yeah. It's I just don't know how long Raider Nation is going to put up with that. Next game I want to look at from last week. 13 straight times Bill Belichick's come in and the Jets, and this the reason I want to talk about this is the next 2 games coupled with this game can either make or break kind of the Jet year, because you got the Bills and then they go up to Gillette Stadium. They could come out of here with a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. They had the Patriots, Bills, Patriots. So 3 games in a row to really see what the Jets are made of. Well, I got to be honest. The Jets defense played pretty good. The Jets offense, not so much. Garrett Wilson was lights out, but Zach Wilson, 355 yards. But
his last 2 interceptions were inexcusable.
Those are just passes you cannot make, especially in year 2. And to be honest, it's not like they've been winning because of Zach. No. They've been winning because of other things. And if you look at it and look at it closely, Joe Flacco only played 3 games. Okay. Zach Wilson has played 5 games. They have almost the identical stats, except Joe Flacco has 5 touchdowns to Zach Wilson's 3 and 3 interceptions to Zach Wilson's 5. Almost the same yards. Actually, Joe Flacco had a better completion percentage. Joe Flacco's got better numbers, is what I'm saying. And he only started 3 games. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but if they really want to win this year, they should probably go back to Joe Flacco.
It would, especially now with Breece Hall out.
That's what I'm saying.
He was a difference maker. I like Carter a little bit, but he's not the breakaway guy.
Neither is James Robinson.
Right. They don't put fear where if he gets the corner or he gets through the hole, it's going to be 15 yards or better. You know what I mean? They're nice backs. Don't get me wrong. They're nice guys to go in there and be the change of pace guy, be the guy that gives Breece Hall some time on the sideline. But no, he's not him.
No, and I just think that you can't sit here and continually look your guys in the eye and tell them that you're trying to win games and you're trotting out this guy out there that has gotten outperformed by Joe Flacco, who only played 3 games, and this guy started 5 games. I mean, you know me. I told you when I saw him play for BYU, I didn't understand where the hype was. I didn't understand what people saw that led them to believe that this guy was going to be a top 5 draft pick. And in the NFL, I still haven't seen it. So to me, 100% honesty here, he looks like Sam Darnold to me. I mean, he really does. He's got about this. He's got about the same arm strength. He's very similar in his decision making, which is horrible.
And he got a better spin move. He's got a better spin move.
He just doesn't do much to help this team win. And I got to be honest, this defense is playing hard. Robert Saleh's got these guys believing. C.J. Mosley had 13 tackles, tackle for loss, a pass defense. DJ Reed had a great game. Quincy Williams is playing well. Quan Alexander, Quinnen Williams had a sack. Sauce Gardner had 2 tackles for loss and a couple passes defensed. I mean, this defense starting to look like a Robert Saleh defense, and the offense looks like Zach Wilson special. So
well, this is where Saleh's got to be. We've talked about this before. Coaches are not there to develop quarterbacks' careers. They're there to win games. I don't know where it started, where this fallacy came from. I think I first heard it basically around the time of the Sam Darnold. That Todd Bowles' job was to develop a quarterback. No, a coach's job is to win freaking games. And it doesn't matter who his quarterback is. And if the quarterback has that lack of confidence that getting benched is going to chase him out of, football, God bless him, then he shouldn't be there because it's a tough game. Drew Bledsoe lost his starting job to Tom Brady. There's a litany of times when guys were benched for certain reasons. I mean, and they have to come back and they have to show their steel. They got to show their guts. They got to show they really want to play and they want to improve. So if that's what's going to break Zach Wilson, break him. You might as well break him now.
Well, and you can't look at every other position and say, if you don't play up to this level, we're going to replace you. And then look at the quarterback and say, oh, well, yeah, you suck, but we drafted you high, so we're going to leave you out there. You can't do that. You have to treat every position the same, no matter who was drafted where or how much whoever is making. I mean, you just the focus has to be on winning, and we'll see because it's not going to get any easier. They play the Bills next, and then they play the Patriots again. So, we're going to find out if they're going to make the move to try and win or not, because these next 2 games are not going to get any easier for Zach Wilson.
And the 49ers, they've got one team's number for sure. I mean, the Rams cannot play. Jimmy Garoppolo should play against him every week. I mean, he'd be worth $50 million. Yeah.
We talked last week how, would McCaffrey get in? How many touches would he get? Well, he was on the field for about 20 plays. I think he got about 10 touches. We were like, wow, they got him acclimated pretty quick. Well, then this week he's the whole damn offense. He threw a touchdown. He ran a touchdown. He caught a touchdown. It looked like the Christian McCaffrey of old when the Panthers offense used to be worth a crap. So, the Niners, seem to have found something here. The question I've got is what happens if Christian McCaffrey gets hurt? Because now you've got, you ship Jeff Wilson out of town. You've still got Elijah Mitchell on IR. Is Tyrion Davis-Price ready to play? I don't know. I mean, I'm concerned. It looked great last week, but we've seen how fast Christian can go down.
What's the prognosis? What's the prognosis on Deebo Samuels? Because if Deebo comes back, now you've got 4 legit weapons there. You got Ayuk, you got Kittles, you got Debo, and you got Christian, where he doesn't have to be the whole game. So what's the Debo? Do you know anything in the Debo Samuels thing?
Yes, Debo is out right now, but I don't know a whole lot other than that. I don't know how long ago or how long he's scheduled to be out. I just know he's not going to play this week. He's got a foot fracture, and he's definitely not going to be back this week. And I wouldn't expect him back the week after either. Let me see when their bye is and everything. They've got they don't play this week. I think they have a bye.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah. They have a bye this week, so that's a good thing. But he's already been ruled out for their next game, which is 11-13 versus the Chargers. I wouldn't expect him back against the Cardinals on 11-21. I mean, maybe hypothetically, depending on how the foot heals, maybe the 27th against the Saints, or maybe the 4th against the Dolphins, but they're going to be without Debo for a few weeks. And that's why I'm saying you've already got Debo out. You better do something to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, because you're going to have to lean on him the next couple of games.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I guess Matt Ryan was the problem, huh?
Oh my gosh. What a joke. As you said, they fired the offensive coordinator who didn't call the plays.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolute joke. I don't know when they're going to start, putting some of the onus on Frank Reich. I mean, he's had a different quarterback every year. He's good
quarterbacks too.
Great Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I mean, Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. Phillip Rivers is an NFL Hall of Famer. Carson Wentz, probably not a Hall of Famer, but he kind of got thrown under the bus, in my opinion. He got thrown under the bus, in my opinion, last year. I mean, was he great? No, but it was like they blamed everything that went wrong. All got blamed on Carson Wentz, and they just kind of got him out. They kind of threw him out of the building before he could be like, wait, what about this? They're like, shut up. Don't listen to him. Get him out of here. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. And they got him out of there before they could really do anything about it. And, all this does is lead to Taylor Heineke getting another win. And, I didn't see those pro throws from Sam Mellinger. I mean, I feel bad for him, because he's kind of getting thrown into the fire here with no real preparation to go with it. So I feel bad for him.
Well, the best news out of that is, like, I hear Daniel Snyder might be shopping the team, so we might get rid of him from the NFL, which could be a great thing for Washington to, the Washington football team. You want to call them the Commanders, I guess, but to get rid of him as an owner would be phenomenal for the NFL.
Well, I think he's trying to sell the team before they take it from him.
Yeah,
but it's going to be hard to sell the team now that he's been accused of improprieties with their financials. That's going to take years to uncover that crap. So I can really, what's a way to halt up a $6 billion transaction? Prove that throw some SEC sanctions against the guy trying to sell the $6 million entity.
Maybe he can make a deal through the SEC. I'll get rid of my team, and who knows with the NFL, what kind of pressure they might put on, to get him. Just to get him out of the league. Who knows?
Yeah.
The Bills, Packers, kind of anticlimactic. The better team won. Maybe not by as much as everybody thought they should. But, I mean, the Packers right now are a mess heading south.
Yeah, I mean, they played well enough to win this game. They just couldn't win it. I mean, Aaron Jones, they finally gave him the ball some, and he got 20 carries, had 143 yards, and it still was not enough. Romeo Doubs played pretty well. Toure had a touchdown. I mean, you can't keep blaming these young guys for all the problems when, they did make some pretty decent plays. I really can't explain what's going on in Green Bay. Because the whole thing just looks like a mess. Their offensive line is absolute garbage. At least LaFleur is smart enough to know to run the damn football when you can't pass protect. I mean, I'm hoping that his buddy Zach Taylor is at least watching the game, because that's what the Bengals should have done, is exactly what the Packers did, and that's why they were able to stay with the Bills. They couldn't beat them, but they could stay with them thanks to Josh Allen's 2 interceptions.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's look at what we got, our picks of the week and our players of the week. You want to start with the players of the week?
Yeah, I will. I will do my player of the week for sure. I had to give it to. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I had to give it to Travis Etienne. Even in a losing effort, he had 24 carries for 156 yards over in London. Not a lot of people saw it because it was at 9 a.m. and they were still nursing the hangover. But he played really, really good. And this is the guy that we kind of expected coming out of Clemson. And, of course, he missed all of last year. Finally, he's starting to come around, yet they still can't win. So, we wanted to blame old Urban Bourbon Meyer for all their problems. But, the Super Bowl winning quarterback can't win in Jacksonville either. But the other running back that I really want to point out, there's 2 here, Deontay Foreman and Tony Pollard. Both those guys stepped up huge. Deontay Foreman for the Panthers, 26 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Tony Pollard, 14 carries for 131 and 3 touchdowns. Those 2 guys were lights out. And then my last guy is Tua. He had a huge game for the Dolphins, 29 to 36, 382, and 3 touchdowns.
Well, I agree with you on both of them. Or 2 of them. I got ATN and I got Tua as well. But I gave it to Derrick Henry too. 219 yards, 2 TDs. I mean, that's what makes Tennessee great. When Derrick Henry's running like that, it's phenomenal. Plus, don't have their quarterback, and they're going to have to depend on him.
Yeah, Tannehill doesn't even play, and they still win with Malik Willis out there trying to. I don't know what he was trying to do, but at least they quit trying to throw with him. He only threw 10 passes the entire game. I think 7 of them were in the first half. And then he just turned around and handed it to Derrick Henry. So, I didn't even pick Derrick Henry because I kind of expect that from Derrick Henry because he's my favorite player. Him and Lamar Jackson are my 2 favorite players, and I just expect greatness from him. But really, I'm glad you did that and put him as your player of the week because he deserved it. I mean, they knew he was getting the ball.
Yeah, 200 yards against a defense stacked to stop him.
Well, yeah, and that was his 6th game over 200 yards, which tied him for the record all time, which I think is, I can't remember the other guy. It was Adrian Peterson and one other player had 6 games with 200. So his next game will be the all-time record. And in each of the games, all 6 of the games that Derrick Henry's had 200 yards or more, he's had 2 touchdowns.
Interesting record there.
Yeah, a little fun fact for you there.
Okay. Picks of the week. I'll start with mine. I am going to go with the Ravens over New Orleans, giving 2.5. Arizona over Seattle, giving 2.5. Oh, well, no, getting. I should say getting. I'm sorry. Is the Ravens, are the Ravens getting or giving?
No, the Cardinals are favored by 2.
Right. Okay. So the Ravens are favored by 2.5. And then Cincy's my next pick against Carolina.
So you're taking the Ravens, the Cardinals, and Cincy?
Yep. 7.5 in Cincy.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to.
And I was 3 for 3 last week, by the way.
So was I.
Cool. We're tied again, 13-11.
Yeah, we only had 2 differences.
I picked the Ravens and you picked the 49ers.
Right.
So those were only 2. So we're still tied. And we're going to definitely do a tiebreaker on this one because I'm picking the Seahawks to beat the Cardinals. Cardinals are favored by 2, and I'm picking the Seahawks to win that one. So that I hope I'm right, but I'm picking the Seahawks there. I'm also taking the Rams The Buccaneers are favored by 3 over the Rams, and I'm going to take the Rams in that one. And then I'm also picking the Titans to cover the spread, as KC is favored by 12.5.
Yeah, I was looking at that one, but I just have this feeling about Seattle and Arizona. Arizona has to. I mean, I every time I pick them, they lose. But I just have this feeling that Geno Smith has got to have one bad week. He can't keep doing this. We can't have been that wrong about it.
Hey, he hasn't had one yet. So I don't know. I've got to say I was wrong. I thought Geno would be okay. I didn't think he would be as bad as a lot of people predicted. I thought he would win the job, and I thought, 4 or 5, maybe 6 wins maximum. I did not expect this. He's been amazing. He looks like a crafty NFL veteran that started for 8 years straight. Now, he has started before.
Yeah.
And if you go back, before he got punched in the face, he was starting to play pretty good for the Jets, but that whole punch to the face, ruined his career. And it was all over $600, remember?
The thing about the Jets at that time, and I'm sorry, I'm a big Rex Ryan detractor, because in my estimation, he would rather lose a game 3-0 and say how great his defense played, rather than try and win the game and give credit to his offense.
Yeah,
all
but
I
don't think Rex was even there then, because remember, I can't remember if it was that year or the year after, because that all went down, and then like the Jets cut the guy. I can't remember his name now, but the guy that punched Geno in the face, and then Rex was the coach of the Bills, and he signed that guy the next day, and then made him a captain in the Jets-Bills game. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, the Rex was the coach of the Bills, because he signed that dude, the backup linebacker, whoever his name was, that punched Geno in the face. Rex signed him to his roster the next day, and then started him, elevated him to the active roster, and made him a captain in the game versus the Jets like the next week or 2
All right, well,
weeks
this
later.
wasn't Rex's fault, but I'm sticking to my estimation on Rex.
Yeah, no, Rex sucks. I agree with you on that one. But I'm just saying, my whole point is that Geno, he's got the ability. I mean, coming out of West Virginia, remember that year, everybody was like, "Oh, Geno's going to win the Heisman." They started out like 8-0, and then the wheels fell off, and everything got blamed on Geno's shoulders. But he still got drafted relatively high, and then he started to play okay, and then he got punched in the face. And as Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and then the plane goes out the window.
Well, and the other thing is, Pete Carroll is kind of a guy who knows how to work things out. I mean, I think in a quiet moment somewhere in Denver, if you get him, Russell Wilson would be sitting there whispering, "Pete, take me home, take me home."
Yeah, well,
you knew how to play me. You give me a running attack and some wide receivers.
The grass ain't always greener, man. The grass is not always
seldom
greener.
It seldom is, especially in the NFL. Very seldomly do quarterbacks leave, go someplace else, and really take off.
Well, yeah, but everybody expected it because of Tom Brady and Matt Stafford. Everybody thought that Russell was going to go to Denver and they were going to win the Super Bowl, and that's a lot of pressure when you have that those two examples set before you. That's tough to deal with.
Yeah, but let's face facts. Those guys. I mean, I can't say for Stafford, but we know that Tom Brady went there specifically because he knew that team was ready to win. He knew he had all the weapons he needed. He had a defense ready to win. I mean, as we've said it many times. I mean, Winston threw 30 interceptions and they were 8-8.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
But he threw 30 interceptions and they were 8-8. All Tom Brady had to do was not throw interceptions, and they were going to improve 4 or 5 games.
Bingo.
So,
and then he won the Super Bowl and should have retired.
Yeah.
But we can't get that guy to go away.
No, not at all. What's on man coverage this week?
We got some big time ball games. We're going to be breaking down the Tennessee Georgia game. That's going to be the game of the week. Down between the hedges, the number 1 ranked Tennessee. I can't even believe I'm saying this. The number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. It's like, what? Who? Where? How did this happen? I have no idea. But they're ranked number 1, and they're traveling to Athens to take on the number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. It is the most expensive ticket of all time in college football. $651 is the cheapest ticket to get into the stadium. And, if you want a good seat, you're talking about $5,000-$6,000. So get your wallet ready if you want to go see the Dogs and the Vols this weekend.
How great would it be just to be a backup on that Tennessee team living in Knoxville right now? You don't have to pay for anything anywhere you go.
No,
you walk into a hot dog stand, they're picking up the check for you. You walk in anywhere, they're picking up a check for you.
Oh yeah, they're riding high right now, buddy. Trust me, this is like 1998 all over again. So that's a huge game, obviously the biggest game of the weekend. But there's other good games too. Alabama is traveling down to Death Valley to play LSU. How LSU is ranked number 10, I have no clue. But they are. Somebody had to be 10. I guess LSU's ranked 10. And Alabama is playing LSU. I expect Alabama to win by 30 points minimum. Making that prediction right now. Alabama's favored by 13.5, and I think that line is a joke. I think they'll win by at least 21. And Texas is playing Kansas State. That's a big game. And then also Clemson's playing Notre Dame. Kind of Clemson's last test to see if they
call it that.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's not really good, but they did win a pretty good game last week. So maybe they can knock off the Tigers and let Marcus keep his job for another year.
Well, they got the right color scheme. I mean, they beat Syracuse. Now you're playing another orange team, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but, they got Michael Mayer. I mean, guy is a badass tight end. They just don't have much else.
I hate to say it. I shouldn't root against a kid who comes from Connecticut. I'm not rooting against him, but I mean, I saw him play in high school, and I just don't think Drew Pine is the answer. I just don't. He's short. He's got a good high school arm, but I don't know if he's got a college arm.
Yeah, well, if they had anybody better, they'd probably start him. I mean, what I got to ask you your thoughts on the tunnel. The Michigan tunnel. It's the 3rd week in a row they've had a fracas go down in the tunnel, and yet none of it is Michigan's fault. They're the one team that's been there for all 3 of these fracases, but it's all everybody. It's Penn State's fault. It's Michigan State's fault. It's everybody else's fault. But Michigan's the one common denominator. I thought that was interesting.
Well, I mean, I go back to I remember when and I am a Notre Dame fan, and I was never a fan of Miami, and I was never a fan of Jimmy Johnson when he was at Miami. But I remember that famous game, the year Notre Dame won the national championship, and they beat Miami in that controversial game. And there was a fight before the game, and everybody said it was Miami's fault. And then it comes out later when the truth gets known, it was the Notre Dame players who started it.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things, it's a proximity. I mean,
well, you have a stadium that seats 113,000 people. You've got, you've had 40 years of playing football there, and you have one tiny tunnel that's this big that both teams go in and out of.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. It's like there's
whose idea was that?
You stir these guys up. You try and you get them to a fever pitch, and then you put them 2 feet apart.
Yeah, in a 8 feet by 8 feet concrete tunnel, and expect them to wave at each other and thank each other for playing the game. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I mean, maybe that happened back in the 1920s, but it doesn't happen now.
No, definitely not.
These guys got scores to settle, and they look to settle them. So, anyways, your daughter have a successful Halloween? I know I saw they were very cute, the outfits you wore. How much candy did she get?
Oh man, we got like 4 pumpkins full, so we are all Halloweened out. We're already planning our outfits for next year, but it was great. She loves Halloween, and we got out there. I got my steps in as we rocked all over the neighborhood hitting up every house with their lights on. So it was good stuff.
Well, I went to a Halloween party on Saturday night, and let me just give you one. What they had was they had the movie set up outside, and we watched the new Halloween Ends. And may I say it should?
Yeah, I heard it was horrible.
Sucked.
I heard it was horrible. I heard everybody, the only thing they were glad about was when it ended.
It was like, you know when you go to a slasher film and the only thing you say is not enough people got killed.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's my critique of that. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week. Of course, see Nate on Sunday on Man Coverage, and have a great football weekend. We get the World Series going on. No-hitter last night, huh?
Apparently so. And the Astros wouldn't give up a hit and couldn't get any food. So it just keeps getting better.
Exactly. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
The only place in the world where they boo Santa Claus.
Except just don't be on the other team. Everybody have a good night. We will be back next week. Take it easy, Nate.
Later, bro.